Folks, how you doing? I hope the sun is shining wherever you are. If it's not shining on the outside, absolutely hope that it's shining on the inside. Today is unlike any other day where I'm going to make sure that I bring to you someone that's amazing. I'm really excited about the conversation and the guest. I'm going to tell you this right now. You know, I try not to mess around. This person messes around less than me. All right. They're beyond words, and you'll see in a moment. We're going to have a chance to have a discussion with Ashley Kirkwood, who is also the author of Speak Your Way to Cash, who also runs an amazing speaker experience that's going to drop some heavy weights on you right now. So without further ado, wherever you are, clap your hands, stomp your feet. It's Ashley Kirkwood. Ashley, how you doing?
Good. How are you? Thank you so much for the warm introduction.
Anytime and always. And for those of y'all who might find your way listening to this, watching this, or have the ability to comment in some way, shape, or form, make sure you throw some comments or some questions if you have them, and we'll get to them at our earliest convenience. So all those things I said were absolutely true. And beyond that, Ashley is a global influence in the speaker world and helping entrepreneurs not just start, but start from the top. And that's where I want to go. If you don't mind, would you mind explaining that a little bit? And you can feel free to give some extra intro that I forgot and brag on yourself unapologetically. And then let us know, what does it mean to start from the top? What is that all about?
Absolutely. And I'm so glad you asked. So yes, my name is Ashley Kirkwood. I'm a speaker and attorney. I've negotiated millions of dollars in licensing deals on behalf of myself and my clients. And when I say start at the top, what I mean is, you know, when I first started in the speaking business, I was told the conventional wisdom: speak for free, speak as much as you can, get great, you know, wear yourself thin, and then hope that one day, someday, somehow, by some move of God, someone in the audience would give you a contract that was worthy of your rate. And that was basically what I kept hearing, you know, do that over and over again. And it just wasn't working for me. So I did that for a little bit. And then I had a thought one day that was like, all right, Ashley, you left your $300,000 job to be an entrepreneur and an attorney and a speaker. So the only way you're going to just start to replace your income will be starting at the top. It's going to be coming in with a 5 or 6 figure offer to clients, showing them that you're the ultimate solution, proving to them that you can not only do the work, but cause transformation for them, keeping it very client-centric. And that was the shift that I made. It all started with a decision, and it started with a desire to make more money speaking. Then it started with the decision that I was going to ask for more consistently. And after those things were realized, after we started getting these larger contracts, other people started asking, well, I want to do that too. That's more appealing. I have real expertise. I could really help people. And, you know, I'm not really interested in doing 50 engagements a year for, you know, under a couple of grand. So that is essentially what that's about. It's like, hey guys, I don't know if you know this, but there's another way to do this speaking business. There's not necessarily a wrong way, but there may be a better way for you, for your expertise. And that's what starting at the top is all about.
Love that. Thank you for mentioning that. And I also want to ask, because there are people who are going to watch or listen at some point, or listening right now. They're like, well, my expertise really doesn't apply to me because I do this, or because I train horses, or something random. What do you say to those folks? I think that happens. People hear something, and maybe because they just naturally don't want to be sold on themselves, they say, no, well, that's not for me. Is speaking your way to cash something that any people can apply to their business?
You know, I'm a very honest person. So I will say, if your goal is to train horses or work with sewing circles, then maybe not. You know what I mean? Like, maybe not. Now, that said, everyone can take advantage of the ability to properly package what you have to offer. Everyone needs to know that. Everyone needs to know foundational elements of sales. And those are topics that we for sure cover in the Speak Your Way to Cash book. But when I talk about developing 6-figure packages, typically I'm talking to people who are experts. And let me clarify that, because everyone's like, expert in what?
Yeah.
You are someone who can take a group of people from point A to point B. One of the things we talk about in the book is the FAME method. And that's how you determine whether your topic or area of expertise is suitable for the process that we teach. So one, what do friends and family say about you? That's the F in the FAME method. So that's going to tell you what soft skill you've developed over time that you could possibly teach. If you're super kind, you're super, like my husband, he's very empathetic. I'll be like, I don't understand why this is happening. Why are they getting it? Why isn't this? And he's like, Ashley, everyone grew up differently. Some people have to deal like this, and some people's thought process he's extremely empathetic. It doesn't matter who we see. He can see someone on the street and he'll be like, babe, but did you consider that they are going through this? And this is that's who he is as a human being. That's how he was raised. That's how he sees the world. That's a skill set that he can teach to audiences. So what do friends and family say about you? That's first. Second, who are the audiences that can pay you? You have to have an audience that can pay you. There are some people listening or someone in your audience who's exceptional at what they do. They just keep selling to people without money and they can never buy. Like, if I don't have something, I just can't give it to you. You know what I mean? Like, even if I love you, I like you, I appreciate what you do, I can't give it to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I wanted to speak to babies in the NICU, that'd be great, but then babies aren't going to come up with a check. You know what I'm saying? So you have to think about who is the audience that can buy. That's critical. And we go through a few of those audiences in the book. And then after that, how are all the ways you can monetize your speech? And this is where diversification comes in. So a lot of people just want to speak, but I've interviewed hundreds at this point of 6 and multi-7-figure speakers on the Speaker Ready Cash podcast. All of the ones at the higher end are diversified in the way they serve their audiences. They have books, they have on-demand trainings, they have licensed trainings, they have live trainings. They're diversified. So what are all the ways you can monetize for that audience? And then E is, what is your education or experience saying about your expertise? So there are some people who went to college and they're like, I'm a neuroscientist by trade, and they don't use it. But I'm like, okay, well, what if you took that biology or social science background that you have, that you literally have a degree in, and couple it with the mindset work that you do? Your education says that's what you're an expert in. Couple those two things together and then sell that. Or what does your experience say? So have you run 20 businesses, the first 10 failed, but the last 10 were super successful? What do you know about hiring? Have you worked as a manager? Even if you worked at a manager like JCPenney's your whole life, you've been at JCPenney's, maybe you did a bid at Sears, right? Like, if you've managed hundreds of people, you know about managing people. You can tell people that even without, a degree or an MBA, your experience says, man, I've managed over 100 people over the last 15 years. Like, that's something you can tell. So that's how I think about it. The FAME method. What does your experience say about you? And that's how you're going to want to determine, like, all right, if I fit into any of those buckets, if I can package based on, what she's saying, then yes, you should have a 5 or 6 figure corporate speaking offer.
That's amazing. And that means if you've not been paid to speak before in that realm, if you're able to do exactly what Ashley said, which is the FAME method, which is brilliant. And I also want to bring because some people hear speakers and some people are, I could do that. Or they're hearing hundreds. You've interviewed, there are not hundreds of 6 and 7 figure speakers out there. Like, what do you say to those folks? Like, sometimes non-believers and sometimes people, let's say, believe less in themselves. So that ends up being the reflection on everything else. But what do you say to those folks that just went, whoa, hundreds of 6 and 7 figure speakers? What do you have to say to them? And how do you get to that?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I always believe there's 3 phases of belief. The first is you have to believe that it's out there for someone. You don't have to believe that it's out there for you. All of us know, all of us know Oprah. Yeah. Oprah has for sure made way more than 6 figures just from speaking. Like, if she does a commencement, if she shows up somewhere, you're dropping the check. So we all conceptually can believe that someone somewhere is getting paid to speak, which means some organizations have money to speak. Now, check this out. Oprah is not the only speaker in the world. What about Les Brown, who's made millions of dollars as a speaker? And we know this because we've seen him. He's been speaking over, 40 years. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, there are people who have done it over time. Lisa Nichols, Tony Robbins, but these are like celebrity speakers. So conceptually, we can believe that some people are making money. But there's a second step to belief is like, do you believe that it's possible for you? And before you even get to for you, do you believe that it's possible enough that you should at least get some more information about it by listening to people like Stan, listening to like our friend Odell Bazell, listening to myself, listening to Dr. J, who's an amazing speaker and makes money speaking, like listening to people who've done it well. Like, the second phase of belief is like, let me just get some information about this. So to that person, I don't want to convince you like that you can do it yet. I just want to convince you, one, someone is doing it somewhere. Even if you don't believe that it's like me, Stan, Odell, the other speakers I've mentioned. 2, get some information, because if it's a possibility that you can take advantage of, it's going to start with the learning process. And then 3, after you believe it's possible for someone, after you get some information, it may be possible for you. The last phase of belief is like, after you get the information, then you go into, okay, this may be possible for me. And then you start pitching the 5 and 6 figure contracts. But what I've learned about human behavior is there are phases of belief. And for you to be listening to this and go from like, I thought speakers were broke, to like, whoa, speakers are making millions. It may not happen, but think of it in phases. If you're listening to this and you're curious, get information. If you like the information, believe it's possible for you, and start pitching those large contracts.
Not gonna lie, before my next question, that perspective is really powerful, because a lot of people just try to get someone to, you can do it too, instead of, hey, why don't you just do some research? Just check out some things, binge watch your favorite people, or whatever it is, check out their social media. You know, everything that you do for all the other conspiracy theories that people do out there, do that for the people that you actually want to believe in, or in turn that will believe in yourself. That's super powerful. So even, let's say, for aspiring speakers, seasoned speakers out there, and those getting on their track to, speaking their way to cash, consider, oh, let me check what people are doing. That's brilliant. Really glad that you mentioned that. And again, for those of y'all listening, watching, coming across this, do that. Binge watch your favorite people, or heck, binge watch those people that you doubt the most or that you're not quite sure of. And that's really going to make you have a more discerning eye. Go, oh, and then they're posting on social media, and then I see what they do, and then I hear them on Clubhouse. What they're saying makes sense. If it makes sense for other people, it makes sense for me.
Yeah,
Thank you for
time
that.
will tell. Time will tell. I think consistency only comes if you're a true believer. So I find people a lot that are like, man, and I'm sure you get this, Stan, because like you're always posting, your content looks amazing.
Thank you.
Post where you're speaking at. You had this dope speaker's reel before this video. So if you missed it, go back and watch his intro. But I feel like that can only happen if you're a true believer. Because people are like, how do you show up every day and talk about these large contracts or licensing deals and doing this and waking up? And how are you so motivated? It's like, no, I really believe this. Like, it is in me. I can't even go a week without telling somebody, I don't know about them prices, but you can raise it. Or like, I love the work you're doing. Are you being paid for that? Like, it's like so cool that I can't not post. So whenever I find someone who's like, I'm not motivated, I'm not consistent, there's always a belief issue. It's not like, oh, sometimes it's belief, but sometimes it's no, there's always a belief issue, because we have so much information now. You can find someone that had a hand that was worse than you that's still getting it done. So it's a belief issue that you have to deal with.
Folks, this is all about, again, we often talk about things that need to change. And briefly, I'll tell you, let's say years ago, it still happens from time to time where I submit and I'm not selected for something. And I'm like, I'm better than them. Why would they pick somebody else? And then someone's like, oh, well, let's say I didn't think they were as good or as accomplished, but their video was amazing. It's like, you know what? Well, maybe I should, stop editing the videos myself. Like, maybe that, or maybe like it was those small things, and then things started to shift because I was no longer talking about how other people can change. It was like, all right, how can I shift, which we're most in control of, which is absolutely to your point. So I appreciate that, Ashley. Another question. So when you mentioned celebrity, you brought up that word. I was already thinking it. Where you say like celebrity folks, I think sometimes people miss out on the fact that, let's say, you don't necessarily have to be celebrity to millions of bazillions of people. Maybe you're a celebrity in your lane. Do you have an opinion on that or thought in that? I see you as a celebrity in the business entrepreneurial lane. Do you see yourself as that? And how should others receive that or create that for themselves?
Yes, that's such a good point. And really, I don't see myself necessarily as a celebrity. I do see myself as someone who has influence over her community. So there are some people, and this is what kept me going in the pandemic, honestly, Stan, was like the pandemic hit and the speaking industry was literally like wrecked for a little bit. Like it wasn't, but it was like a little bit where it was like, I don't know about this. Like did I hedge my bets wrong? And we lost like $30,000 of contracts. It felt like overnight. Like I was literally packing a bag to go to Tennessee. My husband and I were so excited, and I was pregnant. I was like, okay, this is my last gig before I'm pregnant. And I'm like pushing it. I'm like 8 months pregnant. I'm like, man, I'm gonna rock this out. We're packing. And then I get a call from the client that's like, it's a hard no, sis. Like, you can't, like, we're shut down. And then it was like, and we don't know when or if it'll come back, which was the scary part. Cause it's like, whoa, like, this is orientation time. It was, I'm trying to think, because it happened in March. So this is like, I was doing a lot of the women's history events
yeah.
at that time. So that's like Women's History Month. And it was right after Black History Month. I'm like, these are big months because the end of the year, I like November, December, I don't do a lot. So I'm like, you know, fall for colleges, and then February, March for colleges. And then the rest of the year, I may do something for a corporation, but that's it. And it was scary. It was really scary. And a lot of people stopped serving their communities. They shut down. They were embarrassed that they had lost money. They were feeling really sorry for themselves. And they were like, I'm done with this. And it was during that time that I was like, okay, are you a real believer or not? Because if you actually believe that you have something to offer the world, that your voice matters, and if the whole world is like stressed out right now and struggling, and you, by the grace of God, are not physically sick, you should be showing up for those people. And I personally believe the reason our business ended up growing in that time was because we kept showing up. You know, we kept talking to people, even when it didn't look good. And when I lost, I told them, I was like, yo, I just lost 30 grand in contracts, but I'm here. And when I had to pivot, I had to pivot. I was like, okay, cool. What do? We started doing, you know, we always did our podcast, but a lot of people couldn't afford my full coaching programs at that time. So we were like, okay, well, we're going to do $99 sessions on the Speak Your Way to Cash podcast. The deal was, I'll coach you live on the podcast for like $99. You have to sign off that I'm going to share it with everyone, put it on the show, and you'll get a $99 coaching session, which you can't get with me. You know what I mean? Like our VIP days are $25K. So this was like, all right, I'm going to give back. I'm going to get a little something, and I'm going to help you, which is going to keep me motivated. And I'm going to keep recording content like every single day during this very difficult time to encourage you. So if you want to build community, if you want to be a celebrity amongst people that know you, or a leader in your community, or an influencer, you have to serve whether times are good or bad for you. Not like I'm winning, so I'm going to show up every day. But no, man, I just lost the contract. Dang, I just had a client cancel on me. Here's how we're handling it. And I'm a lawyer. So a lot of people were like, well, why don't you sue? Why don't you do this? And I'm like, okay, this is a business lesson. Yes, you can go that route, but this is a tragedy. So you will lose the relationship forever. So I'm like, yes, I'm a lawyer, but we don't just sue people all the time if the relationship can be salvaged. Because at the end of the day, it's about relationship. How are you showing up? Are you talking to your people? Are you serving them? Can people binge watch anything that you have going on? Because if not, they're not going to build that commonality. Because now when people come to our events, they're like, girl, I've been listening to you for years. I've watched all your videos. I've watched all your content. And only after they do all of that are they like, here's the credit card. So I don't think it's optional. If you want to build community, you need a lot of content out there now. Because I feel very comfortable saying, like, I'm a no risk type of coach. You can go listen to 50 hours of me talking to you right now for free on the podcast or on my YouTube channel. And only if you like that stuff and you want more personalized attention, should you buy anything. So if you want that celebrity, that community, you need content, heavy content that people can listen to, and they can start to know who you are personally, who you are professionally, and what you stand for as a coach or a thought leader.
I love that. Great point. We saw a lot of people quit. I saw some veterans quit.
I did too. Yeah, for sure.
And it's for those, and just briefly, I'll state, when the pandemic happened, there was this part where I really felt like people like, I'm going to do what I love.
Yeah.
So many different content pieces. But then when things started to return back to normal, I started seeing less and less of them teaching Zumba on for a free master class on video. I saw less of, again, the different lessons and teachings and practices, whatever they love to do. I saw that less, which again, it just reminds me of that belief part that could still be happening right now. So thank you for that reminder too. And social media, when you're doing it for work, it hits different. Like thinking sweet posting selfies all day. I mean, like I have to serve. And again, to your point, being willing to serve more during that time, I think back to the beginning and the panic and like, all right, I'm just going to give more. I'm here anyway. and you did that exceptionally, exceptionally well. And which leads me to book, Speak Your Way to Cash. Like, I'll just say this: what inspired you to put it on paper? What inspired the book? Hey, listen, I saw the cover. That's hard copy. That means you're the real deal. That's number one. Full disclosure. Ain't nothing around, okay? I'm here to tell you, folks, it's hard copy. I saw that in the background. So tell us, what inspired Speak Your Way to Cash, putting it on paper, and what can people expect from it? I know you mentioned it a little bit before, but let's dive right in.
Absolutely. You know what? This book, I think, becoming a mom really changed me in ways I didn't anticipate. One of the things that happened almost immediately when I had my daughter was like, okay, I cannot be playing around with my life. Like, I don't know if other parents experience this, but like me and my husband were married almost 10 years before having our daughter. So when we had her, I think it was like 8.5 years or so. When we had her, it was like, man, we got to get serious. Because before it was like, all right, we're kidding, we're cool, we're having fun. Like, it's just us. And when I had her, I was like, all right, I started thinking very seriously about what can she learn from me after I'm gone. And a book is something that, one, she can get royalties from forever. And then two, she could actually read my words. And I believe the most powerful gift you can give someone is an ability to sell. Because if you do that, if you have an ability to sell, you will never, ever have to depend on someone else to eat, like someone giving you a job, for instance. You will need clients, let's be clear. So I wanted to put the book together because I don't know how I'll be able to coach or work with individuals in the future. And I definitely wanted to leave a roadmap because I have not seen a book like this on the market that dealt with the things that this book particularly deals with. And my thought was, okay, I'm still praying for bigger opportunities for my own personal life that would really take me away from one-to-one or individual coaching just because of time constraints. And if that happens, I want to feel confident in saying, like, you know what, you can read my book. I don't have any one-on-one services right now. I don't have any group coaching programs or services right now. I'm literally headed off to Ireland to do something for a client, but you got this book. And so that's really what did it. That and wanting to leave a legacy for people in the speaking community to know that they can do it more, especially Black people, to be honest, especially people that look like me, because when I work with us, we're the ones who are getting the shortest end of the stick with these companies and these colleges. Like, the pay is like so small. It doesn't make any sense. So that was that, like wanting to leave something for the industry, wanting to leave something for my daughter so that I can go and grow in a way that may not allow me to give this information in another medium.
Wow. What was the most difficult part about putting it together? And I'll ask you what's the most beautiful part about it. But I think when the people hear book, they go, oh, it's overwhelming. But so I asked, there must have been something that wasn't as glamorous about knocking it out. And also, what's the most beautiful part or the best part about it?
Yeah, the most challenging part was the editing process, was going back. And because my book, here's what I didn't realize. My book is thick. It's 274 pages.
That's real.
It is like, I don't know if you can see, but it is like a solid.
Whoa. I see that as curriculum. I don't have it yet. I see that as I'm just going to throw that out there.
And we have a 14 module course with a 150 page workbook for the academy. So it's also a curriculum, but like the book is so big. So that means everything takes longer, designing, editing. And so I would have to I've reread this 274 page book, my husband and I, like 10 or 20 times, which was just wild. And then we wanted to have graphs in the book. So we have 6 charts in the book to illustrate the concepts that we're talking about. Because we go in detail actually in this book, and it's broken into 6 parts. So the first part is mindset. That's really important. And we dive into the currency of confidence and how to grow your confidence before you even start pitching and selling, which is the currency of confidence is like my signature speech that I give to colleges and corporations. Then we go into press, how to land yourself, media features, TV features, all of that. Because for me, that's like the easiest way to build strong, verifiable credibility. Like a blog is great, but like sending someone your NBC5 clip or your Fox News clip is just like, it takes you to another level, and it helps to elevate your pricing, which is really important for what we teach. Then we go into assembly. That's his own package. How do you assemble a 6-figure package? Then we go into the invite method, and we cover 6 different ways to sell in that particular portion of the book. Then we cover delivery, how to deliver an amazing speech virtually and in person, and how to get great customer service, how to give great customer service. The last portion is taking it to the next level, realities that you consider, and how to hire your dream team to grow your speaking business, even if you don't want to have a lot of employees. So the book is like literally like the Bible for developing these contracts. And it goes over it's the 4 internal parts: PAIND, press, assembly, invite, and delivery, stand for paid, because I teach the paid method. So we wanted to develop a book that really went over in depth that methodology. And what's crazy is the book is detailed, but to your point, we have a whole curriculum with a 156-page workbook that has even more swipe copy and templates and all of that for our coaching clients. So it's really, really detailed. So the hard part was just, it was thick. So I didn't realize, one, I mean, to be honest, you write a big book, it costs more to print, it costs more to edit, everything costs more. Like,
the first thing that went to my mind, you said 2 hours, like, oh, that is real.
It is expensive. Like it was an investment that I just, because my first book, I don't even think I have it, but it was like this little bitty
oh yeah
it's so small. Like the Law School Hustle, like this book is very small compared to like this book. So it's 273 pages and it's 6 by 9. So it's like huge. So that was big. I didn't like the editing process. I feel like I complained about that. I try not to complain, but like I really did complain about that for like months. That was hard. And I guess the most rewarding part was hearing my client stories. So throughout the book, we did interview, I think 5 or 6 clients, and they each talked about something that they learned while working with us, or that they learned on their own. You know, without working with me. Like they share what they brought to the table, how they've grown their businesses, how they've been successful. And it was amazing because, you know, clients stand, I don't know if you deal with this, but like my clients don't really tell me everything. I have to find out. Like I was literally, because I couldn't interview them. If I interviewed them, I would be I'm like too shy about that stuff. So we had another person literally interview our clients, and then I made sure that it was like written up well. She got stories out of them that I was like, what? Why did they tell me that? Like, so that was really cool. Like reading how transformative our services have been on speakers and how they've been able to grow their businesses and sustain them.
Whoa. Now I want to ask too, is there a story you can share? Maybe not the best story, but what's a story you're like, where you were excited for people? And now this is interesting because some folks might be thinking you're happy for somebody else, but it's like folks don't understand when you get into this and you're good and you love what you do, you find yourself being equally, if not more excited than you are for yourself and your accomplishment. Is there something that you want to share that you can share?
Yeah, for sure. Like there are so many. I remember one client story in there. It's from a client named Dominique. She said that one of the things I tell them is like, if you were to get approached by the CEO of Pepsi in a grocery store line and they were to ask you, give me a 6-figure proposal, what would you say? Like, would you be ready? Are you ready for what you're praying for? And she talked about how she landed her largest speaking engagement in the airport. Like someone in the airport she was talking to, they had just come from a conference. He was like, yeah, give me your quote, like on the spot. And she was ready. She had an answer. And she was like, I wouldn't have even thought that could really happen. But you said that somebody could approach me in an unforeseen circumstances. I need to be ready to confidently talk about my services and my rates. And then another story that has something to do with money, but in a different way, was one of the people in the Speaker Ready Cash Facebook group community, Rashad. He's a poet. He's a speaker. He's really dope at what he does. But he said that he actually turned down a speaking engagement for a company because they wanted to license his speech out globally, and they weren't really ready to compensate him for it. And he was so proud of himself for turning that down, because before coming into our community, he was just speaking everywhere, doing everything. He didn't even necessarily have the language to say, this is a licensing deal and you want a global licensing deal. And that, I love that, because if you can change someone's thought process or language, they have that for life. And that's the transformative stuff that I like, is when people are like, no, my whole thought process around my business has changed. So those are two that really stand out to me, that I just loved, like seeing the interview notes and just being like, yes, people's lives are being changed from this. This is amazing.
Awesome. So before I get you out of here, and before we talk about your live event, for those folks that investing in themselves is new, because I feel like it's difficult for people to invest in someone else if they haven't invested in themselves yet. So for those folks who are new to buy a book for myself, go to an event for myself, why would I do that? What words or advice do you have for them? It's new to them. They want that, but they're just not as familiar with that.
Yeah, I would say your life, I think that some people, like, your life really changes from the environment that you're in. So investing in yourself is less about, to be honest, I mean, I don't know, this is probably, I don't know if this is controversial or not, but for me, investing in myself is less about what I'm going to get. Like, oh, I'm going to get this book, I'm going to get this, I'm going to get that. It's more about, I'm going to put myself in a new environment, whether that means the book is going to take my thoughts to a place they've never been, or I'm going to go to an event and I'm going to be around people who are doing better. I'm going to see things on a high level. And my dad, you know, he grew up in the projects of Chicago, went from that to building a multi-7-figure, you know, real estate firm for himself. And his whole thing that he taught us all the time was that how he did it, from going from like extreme poverty to building a successful business, was books. He read books on mindset. Then he would tell me growing up, like, look, whenever you don't have money, you're down to your last $5. What I would do is I would go to the richest hotel in the city and I would order coffee and I would sit by the window and I would dream and I would look out the window. And for me, there have been times in my life where I wasn't where I wanted to be environmentally. Like, I was at a school that I didn't like people's language was low. Everything felt really like a drag. Like my first law school, it wasn't good. And I wanted to transfer to Northwestern, one of the top law schools in the country. And before they let me in, I went and studied at Northwestern Library for all my tests, even though I didn't go there as a student. And when I was there, I would talk to the other students. I would learn where everything was, because I would tell people, this is going to be my school. This is where I'm going to go. And nothing in my background said I should get in. Almost failed out of undergrad, all of that. But changing my environment consistently literally changed my life. I went from almost not graduating undergrad, going to a law school that was like not ranked high at all, to graduating top of my class, cum laude, from Northwestern. Because before I could invest in it, I changed my environment. Like, I couldn't afford to I couldn't just go there, but I could get close enough to it. And for some people, if you're not where you want to be in life, your environment is probably not fostering the creativity that you need. You have to change your environment. And you can either do that physically, like come to an event, get around some people that you know are doing bigger things, or you could do it mentally. Read a book that's going to take your thoughts somewhere where they're not going now. But you can't dream if you've never like even tried to see it. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to have to change your environment if you want to change your life.
Whew, I tell you, it got me in the corazoncito, in the heart. Yeah, corazoncito got me. Because again, that advice, and they're like that's $1 million piece of advice right there. Even if we're talking about, because again, folks, I don't have money, but you go to Starbucks. Go to Starbucks in the best neighborhood that you know of. Hang out there and watch how people move. Whatever your drive is, people, but it's no pun intended, but whatever they might be driving, the house they might be going through. This morning, after we dropped our son off at school, we drove through one of the nicest neighborhoods that we really like on the way back home. And we do that almost every day.
Yeah.
Because you have to be able to be secure enough to go where people have more, they're doing more, there's freedom. Like the first time I think I went to breakfast at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday, people are like, you're home? Or when people come and do stuff at the house, like, you're here again. Yeah, I'm home. It's like how people operate in a different stratosphere. So again, really quickly, for those of you all watching, listening, come across this, do stuff like that. Go buy yourself a drink at a bar at a really swanky place, sit at the Four Seasons, whatever it is.
Yep.
Sit at the bar, sip on that one drink, drink all the ice, whatever it is, and just be and absorb that. So thank you very, very much for throwing that at us, Ashley. And your event, Speak Your Way to Cash. If I'm someone that wants to get in your world or wants to experience that, what am I going to experience in Speak Your Way to Cash? Why should I go? How can I learn more about it? I know that speakyourwaytocash.com is a great way to do that. But from your words, what am I going to get and receive? And what's that environment going to be like?
Yeah, it's really going to be an environment where you can dream. My husband and I, we walk the premises of the hotel a lot. We're going to be dropping a video probably today, like showing people where it's actually going to be, but it's hybrid. So it can either be virtual or in person. But you're going to have 13 modules. You'll get, I don't even think I have it with me, but you'll get a box before the event. One of the things you'll receive is like a workbook. You'll receive an advanced reader copy of the Speak Your Way to Cash book. You'll also receive hundreds of dollars of gifts from our sponsors in your box before you even get to the event. You'll get a beautiful journal, hardcover journal for us to take notes in with inspirational quotes. But the actual event's content is fire. Like it's 13 modules over 3 days. And one of them is getting your mind right, goal setting for powerful speakers, the Dreamer's Den, which is where we're actually going to go through an exercise of guided dreaming and visualization before we even dive into the content. That's going to be fire. And it's a brand new session I've never done before. Mastering the corporate landscape. We're going to tell you like how corporations move, how much they spent on training and development, what that means for your business. We're going to do a module on building your framework and positioning for profit. Then we're going to do one on exploding your brand for TV, developing a hot list of future clients, assembling your 6-figure offer, pitching to corporations with ease. We have something called a language lab we're going to do where I will actually give you, in your workbook, you have 3 pages of quotes that you can use when you get a pricing objection, when you get a timing objection. And we're going to go through your language and make sure your language isn't keeping you from making money. Because one of the things I hear people say is like, oh, how much is it? Oh, $3,000. Oh, that's a lot of money. If you think $3,000 is a lot, it's going to be very hard to pitch a $30,000 contract. You know what I mean? Like if you think $2,000 is a lot, and every time you see it, you're like, oh, how they charge $2,000? Oh, that's a lot. I could never spend that. Then you also can never receive that. So you want to be very careful about what you call expensive because money is relative. Even if it was $1 billion, that's relative to who's looking at that amount of money. So we're going to talk about language very intently. Then we have a possibilities panel. You'll meet some clients of mine. Then we have a pricing pathology session where we will dissect the cause and effects of your pricing. Because what I see is some people have consumer businesses and corporate businesses, which is great, but your consumer pricing shouldn't dilute your corporate pricing. It all needs to make sense because when people are going through a buying decision process mentally, they're thinking about all that. They're like, okay, but then if this is this and this over here is this, then why is this? Like, you don't want to give your clients any additional ways out of working with you and getting the solution that they need. So we have to dissect pricing in a very specific way. So those are just some of the sessions that we're going to cover over 3 days. We put a ton of thought into them. Been printing stuff for the past, it feels like 5 months to get ready for the books and the boxes and all that fun stuff. But yeah, it's an environment where you're going to dream. You're going to learn, you're going to be stretched, you're going to be challenged, but you're also going to walk away with skills that you can take with you for the rest of your life to really change your business, but also that bleeds into your personal life.
Whew. Yeah, that was a lot. We've talked about it quite a bit, and I've heard you speak about it, but just hearing that, I love the Dreamer's Den, the language lab. Like that stuff is super important. And the last point you made is probably one of the most powerful, how it like connects to your personal life. Like all skills are transferable. And folks have to understand how they're speaking to themselves and the, relatively money, whether it's okay, whatever amount, $1, $2, $3 and I'm teaching you how to make 6 figures.
Right.
Like understand the relativity to that, because the real statement is that if I'm teaching you how to make $500,000 and $600,000 in a year or less than, or in one fell swoop, then I could probably charge you more than that, and it would be completely fair.
Yep.
Like it would make perfect sense that would be what. And then the other piece is the relativity to money. Or I have $1,000 phone. I have that, and it's not really teaching me how to do anything. Where it feels like even going to an event like this means that you can teach folks how to use that device to create more opportunity and recognition and influence, as you stated before. But I really, really appreciate you. Before we get out of here, I know I've kept you longer than I probably should have, but I appreciate you. And congratulations on Speak Your Way to Cash book and the upcoming event in November. My wife was looking at your social media today. She's like, I want to go. Like, I love, like, yeah, I know Ash now. I'm going to talk to her later, actually. But she literally said that this morning, like, I need that. I was like, I mean, I really am excited about the event and playing a part in the event. And I'm almost sure my wife will be at the event. So thank you for being you and inspiring that for sure, because it's going to be an awesome opportunity for whoever gets a chance to be in the room or on the other side of the screen. Any final words or final thoughts to leave the folks with who are going to watch this today or a couple days from now or in general?
Yeah, I would just say, keep following positive people. Keep following Stan. Keep following. I bring up Odell because he's a mutual friend of ours. Yeah. But I like both of your energy because, you can look back at your profile or your old, I think you posted your first flyer, your first promo flyer, and the growth that you have. And what I would say, if you're ever looking about who should I work with, who should I follow, who should be in my ear, look for growth. It is the real giveaway. If you look at someone over the course of 3 years or 5 years and you see zero growth, nothing looks visibly different, nothing sounds visibly different, they're not doing more, going for more, pushing themselves further, it's likely that they won't be able to push you either. So look for growth. Keep following positive people and literally keep hope alive. It can be so easy right now with everything still being so uncertain to lose hope. Well, it's not going to work, or, oh, it won't be good, or who knows if I'll be able to do that. Whatever it is, if you have breath in your body, you still have purpose that you can push yourself to, keep hope alive.
For sure. Ashley, thank you so very much for your time. Thank you for writing your book, Speak Your Way to Cash, and even more thanks for the live and virtual event, the hybrid event that's going to be going on in November, correct?
Yep, in November, the 4th through the 6th.
Okay, November 4th through the 6th. So make sure the website has been on there the whole time. Make sure you visit Speak Your Way to Cash. I have a couple additional notes in the comments section if you're listening or watching in some way, shape, or form. Folks, this has been an amazing opportunity for you to be able to listen and to hear these points, these gems, as they say on the Clubhouse, these amazing gems and diamonds and so forth, for you to not just invest more in your life, but invest in you in conversation like the one we just had. So thank you again, Ashley. Remember, folks, as you watch this, that you don't have to worry about being perfect. We're simply trying to make some progress because effort on fire beats knowledge on ice. This is Stan Pearson II. You're your first. Ashley Kirkwood. Have an amazing day. Peace.